Hello, everybody. My name is Zojalix, and welcome to what is going to be the official Courtyard tutorial for console. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking over the different strats and everything that I did in the current world record at the time of recording. The reason why I am talking it over in this format and doing it as a video rather than just recording a separate tutorial with gameplay is there's still no way you can completely mitigate the RNG within the level. So the biggest things that we're going to be talking about are the spawns, where each wave of enemies is going to spawn out, and then when you get those individual spawns, what you should do. There are a few things that we are going to be doing throughout the level that we will be talking about that is more than just enemy containment. So the other big thing that we have to think about when we are doing Courtyard on console is lag reduction. Something that up until the time that the world record was at the recording of this video, a 1:30:08, I didn't even think about lag reduction as even being a possibility. Lag reduction was not something that just popped into my head. But then as I started experimenting more with Courtyard and paying attention to my Courtyards, I started noticing a consistency in time loss, and then kind of started doing some research and realized that I was losing a lot of time for lag, and so this should hopefully prevent you guys from being able to lose a bunch of time due to lag in your own console runs. Now, this is a note. This is for console. PC does not have these lag issues, so you can play Courtyard completely differently on PC, and it will not make a major difference because you don't have to worry about lag. Also, another thing, because of the way that the camera angles work, these strategies might not work for co-op. It is possible that they could, but I can't guarantee anything until some testing has been done, so please do not look at this as a definitive co-op tutorial. We are just going to be looking at this as a console single player any percent. Actually, it could even work for New Game Plus, but a console single player tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into it. First thing immediately in the level, we are going to be having the first wave. The first two waves are going to spawn immediately at the front gate. That is going to be the gate that is going to be the gate that Grand destroys. That's the front gate. We'll be referring to that as the front gate throughout this tutorial. First wave of enemies we're going to have are just going to be some of your basic swords enemies. You just want to clean them up quickly. The name of the game in this first wave is specifically wave control, because these enemies are going to be immediately jumping in right by the exit gate, or the back gate as I might refer it to as well. And so you want to go and just get rid of them as quickly as possible. You want to make sure that that area is clear, because from the moment that we finish this wave until we hit 150, we're going to be playing off of the individual enemy spawns. And so it's important that throughout the level that you are playing around, that you just clear this enemy out, these waves of enemies out as quickly as possible, so that way you aren't playing near the back gate during the first three-fourths of the level. Now, the one thing to note as well is throughout the first 3/4 of the level, we want to actually avoid playing around the back gate as much as possible. And the reason for that is throughout the level, there are these catapults that come down and explode. Those are your biggest areas of lag that generate throughout the level. And so we want to avoid having to deal with them in that way. We want to avoid keeping them close. We want to avoid playing around the areas that are going to generate lag. This is why we play around all of the spawns for the enemies. And so we want to avoid those lag areas. So play away from the back gate as much as physically possible in the first 3/4 of the level. All right, with that, we'll keep going. Once you have cleaned up the waves here, the next set of enemies are going to spawn at 30 refugees saved. Or never mind, they will not spawn at 30 refugees. All you need to do, bubble this first wave. You want to take them out quickly, so you use Gandalf's bubble. You can just run around, destroy as many shields as possible. For any stragglers that get by, clean them up with your magic attacks. Like I said, we're trying to play away from the back gate as much as possible, so cleaning up with your magic attacks is going to be the most optimal way to deal with them there. Then you're probably going to have a second wave of shield enemies spawn. This is completely normal. You will just want to keep them up near the front gate as much as possible using your fierce attacks, and then anybody that gets by, clean them up with your magic attacks. And the nice part with the magic attacks on the shielded enemies is if you're playing towards the front gate, the enemies are going to focus on trying to run towards the back gate, where the exit is for the refugees. And so since they're doing that, their back is going to be to you, which means your shield won't come into effect once their back is to you. Now, once you get to 40 refugees spawned, this is going to be where the next set of enemies will shift. You are now going to have Uruk-hai that are going to be spawning in from the right side gate, from the right back gate. So there's going to be a right back gate and there will be a right front gate. We're not too worried about the right front gate at the moment, so just disregard that for now. But the right back gate is going to be where these Uruk-hai are going to spawn. Since we are most likely going to be cleaning up shield enemies at this point, we will have to come back and play towards the back gate in order to eliminate the Uruk-hai as they get to the back gate. So once 40 spawns, start making your way to the back gate so that way you are ready for them to be right there. Clean up any of the shield guys. You'll see these guys spawn and you want to take them out quickly. Couple of reasons for that. One, we're playing by the back gate, which means lag. Two, the longer we spend fighting these guys, the more opportunities they have to hit and kill the refugees, preventing them from being able to escape. So you want to clean them up very, very quickly. And you can see in this, you can get parry looped a bunch, which is where you go to hit at the same time that they hit. You both stagger, nothing happens. You can get stuck like that for a little bit. In this video, unfortunately, I panic. Don't panic, just chillax, do a few parries, that'll help you get control of the waves again. So once you take them all out, once we take them all out, you'll want to clean up as many enemies as you have around here. Once they are all cleaned up near the back gate, then you will run towards the right back gate. So we take out this one shield guy here because he's being annoying, and then we're just going to immediately run to the right back gate because you can see here, this gate here, this is right back gate. Okay, and this is where the next set of enemies will be spawning. This is where the enemies will spawn here, and we want to get over there quickly. Unfortunately, I didn't get there very fast, so the enemies kind of spread out, and I had to spend a lot of time cleaning up with my fire. But this is the reason why, again, we talked about it. Lag reduction is a big key factor here, and making sure that you can keep the enemies contained as best as possible. But since we got super unlucky, we had to just run back and clean them up. The nice part about the part that we are going to be in right now is once you hit 60 refugees saved, then the level is going to shift, and the next set of enemies that are going to spawn are going to be archers. This is your time to breathe. Archers will not kill any refugees here. You don't have to worry about that. So our primary responsibility once the refugees have spawned is going to be lag reduction. Okay, so once we clean up these enemies, I grab just a quick arrow upgrade pickup so that way I have them. We're going to immediately pivot out. We got to take out one shield guy because he spawned front gate. So I'm just gonna get distracted a little bit and make this note. That singular shield guy, they will spawn periodically throughout the level. Their spawns are based purely on Gandalf's position. So, if you are playing towards front gate, they'll spawn front gate. If you are playing towards right back gate, they'll kind of spawn in this really weird, like, offset corner kind of thing. You'll see it here, and I'll explain it when we get to it. But since the archers have spawned from 60 to 80, we're in a moment to breathe. So we're just going to come over here to right back gate. I come here because this is where the next wave of enemies will spawn when we hit 80, as well as this is where the level will lag the least. So we can just be here, watch the refugees go, and you'll see the number go up relatively quickly. Then, when we hit 80, we're going to get a wave of both regular orcs and Uruk-hai. No shield enemies to worry about. See, right there. That shield enemy right here, that guy spawned kind of back, like, down in this right corner. He spawns that way and runs up to you. Not a big deal. Just make sure you focus on the wave, because this shield guy will focus Gandalf 9 times out of 10. So focus on the wave, then turn, fight the shield guy when you don't have any enemies you have to worry about. So we'll go ahead, clean up this wave. There's going to be another set that'll come. You can bubble. You don't have to, because they kind of come in smaller chunks once you take out the main bulk wave. But bubbling here because I kind of took them out quickly. I knew I was going to get kind of a big bulk spawn, so being able to prep for that was good. Now, This is where the level is going to start getting really, really difficult, is once you hit the 100 mark. What's going to happen is you are going to have, when 100 hits, from 100 to 135, it is a super weird random number, but it's fine. From 100 to 135, you are going to be having enemies spawning at front gate. When they get to front gate, it is going to be some sword enemies, just regular sword orcs, and an Uruk captain, which are the big Uruks with their 2 maces and the health bar and armor. This is where crowd control becomes significantly more difficult, because you have to play around that area of the map. You have to focus. The biggest thing that you want to focus on are the sword enemies. The captain is probably going to focus Gandalf 9 times out of 10. If you are a newer runner of this game, this is going to be really, really difficult to try and figure out and to understand. Not to try and figure out and understand, to play around. Because the Uruk captains do a ton of damage. And this is why I always tell people to not do the route that I'm doing on my splits. You look at my splits, don't do that route if you're a newer runner. Because where I'm at here, I don't have Rising Revenge and I don't have a health upgrade. I am significantly more likely to die. And so if you are not paying attention to the Uruk captains and you are not able to play around them well, you will just die. So that is the biggest risk factor in this level when you get to the 100 marker. Okay, so I'm cleaning up whatever enemy is here. The 100 marker will spawn. Unfortunately, this wave was spawning. Thankfully, it was a quick cleanup, but it did leave me vulnerable for time for these sword enemies to show up here. So what you want to do once you have these first wave of enemies cleaned up, I try to ignore the captain as much as possible unless he is actively attacking refugees. Another note with the captains. If they get hit by a catapult, they will just attack whatever is closer. Whether it's Gandalf, whether it's refugees, it does not matter. That is what they will attack. So that's something that you will have to be paying attention to while you are going through this, is if a captain gets aggroed onto your refugees, if you lose track of the captain, then you have to run over and you have to go and save them. You have to go and kill them. If you don't go and take them out, they can attack your refugees, which can cause you to take a lot of time loss. So, now, focusing again on these waves, just trying to keep as many enemies out. These enemies were really weirdly grouped, so I couldn't take them out all in bulk like I wanted to, but it's no big deal. One of the nice things about this section is when you are dealing with captains that are spawning, when you kill them, they will give you a health drop. So, if you find yourself getting really, really low on health and you feel confident enough to fight the captain, and he'll give you a health drop, and then you won't have to worry about death as much anymore. But see, you can see here, I kind of start getting bullied a little bit, which was no big deal mostly. I did start getting a little bit low, and unfortunately an entire wave got past me. But because you're Gandalf, you can just stand back and just start firing off your magic, and that will at least give enough crowd control to not be a big deal. Now, we've hit 135. This right here, this little corner, this is front right gate, is what I like to call it. Or you can call it front right spawn, whatever. Front right, that's this. This is where the next set of refugees are going to be spawning. You're going to have enemies spawning out of front gate here. So they're just going to immediately cut the path this way to get to your refugees. And this is where things become really hectic. Captains are going to continue to spawn. The enemies that are going to be spawning is going to be a mixture of everything. Uruk-hai, sword orcs, and shield orcs. Immediately, as soon as you see that 135 pop, you want to get a bubble out. Because the moment that bubble comes out, especially when you get the first spawns, refugees come here, enemies come here at basically the same moment. And if that's the case, they will intercept and just start cleaving those refugees and not letting them escape. So bubbling, you want to bubble right away. Unfortunately, when I bubbled earlier at the 80, my bubble was on cooldown. So when your bubble is on cooldown, you panic. And then you have to deal with that. So this is something that thankfully I was able to deal with pretty well with some good fierce attacks and just overall some good RNG. And then once my bubble came back, you start bubbling, you run around, you start taking out enemies. So you bubble, you take out enemies. This gives you a ton of room to play with because you have a wave that's taken out quickly, and then the refugees would just keep running. And then you just want to continue to, as best as you can, do crowd control near your front gate until you get to the 150. Now, when we get to 150, this is where lag reduction... Alright, we got to 150, and thank you guys for bearing with me. This level is extraordinarily complex, and that's why this is such a long tutorial. Because this level is so complex, there's so many things you have to think about. If you are a newer runner, don't worry about trying to figure this out. There's so many other parts of this run. I should have prefaced this at the beginning of the tutorial. So if you made it this far, I'm sorry. You can keep going. This is good information to know, but it is very difficult to execute well. I was only able to execute it as good as I could because I've been running this game for so long. Anyways, 150. This is where things are going to get extraordinarily hectic. You are going to have enemies spawning constantly from every single direction. You are going to have enemies spawning everywhere, refugees spawning everywhere. It's going to be a mixture of all these different types of enemies. The chaos in the level is just going to increase by a ton. The first thing you immediately want to do, like you saw me do here, and I'll go back so that way you can see it. The first thing immediately that you want to do, run back. There's a spear here by the there's a spear holder by the statue. You want to take out the 2 trolls with these spears. Okay, boom. Trolls you want to take out. Next thing you want to do, take out as many straggler enemies here with magic. The reason for this is because we are going to go and grab another spear by back right spawn and use a spear to take out this troll. But your targeting will become very messed up if there's a bunch of random enemies running around here. And the 135 waves have spawned during the cutscene. So you have enemies that are rushing in here, which will mess up your spear throw. So you want to take these enemies out, and then you want to just go grab a spear, throw it at the troll, and take him out. Then you want to just clean up enemies. This is going to be where things get really, really weird. I will be playing right after I kill the troll. You want to run up because refugees are spawning at front right spawn. So what you want to do is you want to play up at front gate, keeping crowd control on enemies here. I don't know, once you hit, I guess 160 is when it switches. Everything will start spawning. Enemies will start spawning in front gate and back right gate. Refugees will always be spawning at back right gate from 160 till the end. So, what you want to do, lag reduction at this point, you're throwing it out the window. You're not wanting to do any lag reduction, not worrying about that. If you are able to contain it, play near back right gate as much as possible. If you are not able to contain it, what you want to do is you want to run from back right gate to back gate, just constantly alternating back and forth between those two areas. That is what you want to do in order to get through the level quickly. Because your main focus is going to be on crowd control. There are going to be a bunch of enemies that are going to be hanging out around front right gate. They won't do anything. They are just going to stand there. Unless you provoke them by shooting them or getting too close. So just let them stay there, let them dance around, do their thing. Just keep running back and forth from back gate to back right. Because enemies are going to sneak past you. There's going to be so many all over the place. By this point, I think the system optimizes itself. Because once we get to this point, I don't notice the lag nearly as much as I do in the early stages of the level. So, if we just continue to play around this, keep focused, use all your spears. Whenever you get spears, take out trolls. Actually, this is another thing to note. This troll here, ignore him. I think I go and kill him. Maybe I don't remember. Just ignore him. He's going to be there. Refugees are not going to do their thing. Over there, you don't have to worry about that guy at all. He's going to stand there. He's going to spin around, doing his thing. You just want to continue to run back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You continue to do that, you'll be able to get through the level no problem. The hardest part is enemies aren't going to know what to aggro onto. They're going to be constantly switching from aggroing onto your refugees to aggroing onto you to aggroing onto the Gondorian archers to their aggro is just going to be all over the place. And so trying to keep that under control is going to be difficult. If you are a new runner and you want to try these strats out, go for it. The thing that I will recommend for your strats to do is just to survive. As long as you don't die, you will have more than enough time save in different areas of the run to be able to bring it back. Even right now, I have a 130.08. My sum of best is a 126. I have time to save in different areas of the run. I don't need an incredible courtyard to get world record. Thankfully, this run did have an incredible courtyard, which then allowed me to get through it. And this one, I think, finished up with like an 846 is where it finished. But that is what you want to do. So that is the courtyard tutorial. To summarize, play around the enemy spawns as close to the enemy spawns as you can. You want to learn the spawns. After you learn the spawns, when you get to 150, go between back gate and back right gate to keep crowd control up, and that will then carry you on to the end of the level. I know this is a massive tutorial for one level, but this level is so complex. There are so many things to think about, and it's why I wanted to make a tutorial for this level, because so many runners don't like running this game because this level ruins it for them. On PC, I haven't tested. I might do some testing at some point to see kind of like what the vibes are there. But for this, these are the strats to use. Okay, for console. This is console on the single player. Co-op will require some testing, but I'm sure somebody will be able to test that at some point, possibly even myself if I get a chance. I don't know. Can't guarantee anything. Anyways, thank you guys for watching through this really, really long tutorial. I know it's a lot. I know there is a ton of stuff to go through. It can be overwhelming. If you are in the Discord, please reach out to me with any questions that you might have. And just one final note. These strats are not foolproof because this level still has a bunch of RNG. So if you're still losing time but you're following these strats, it could just be the RNG of the level. And it could just simply be, you got to get better at combat. Combat is going to be the biggest thing. If you know how to fight enemies and take them down quickly, you'll be fine. If you don't know how to fight enemies and take them down quickly, this level is going to be a struggle. Alright, thank you guys for getting through this tutorial. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me in Discord. And I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day.